Have you ever sat and looked at your parents or grandparents and suddenly felt that something was different? It's not exactly an illness, not exactly normal aging, but a vague yet very real feeling that your loved one is growing weaker faster than you expected. The truth is that when someone enters the final stage of life, their body doesn't send a clear warning sign. Instead, there are small changes, very small. It's very easy to overlook until you realize, and by then, it might already be too late. But each person has a different journey. Some become exhausted and fatigued without an apparent cause. Some suddenly grow silent, withdrawing from life. Some eat less, lose weight gradually, and sometimes lose interest in the things they once loved. In this video, I will share 7 true stories from sons, daughters, wives, and husbands who cared for their loved ones during their final year. Each story shows a different sign, but they all have one thing in common. It starts very subtly and becomes serious when we fail to notice. This is not a video to scare you. It is a video to help you stay alert, present, and loving before it's too late. And I hope you will watch until the end, because with each sign, I will not only tell a story, I will also share scientific, thoughtful, and gentle caregiving tips to help you understand without panic, to help you stay by their side without feeling helpless, and to offer suggestions that, I believe, will surprise you and make you grateful you stayed until the end. If you are caring for an elderly loved one or want to prepare for the future, please click subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss videos like this. If you find this content helpful, please hit like, share, and leave a comment below. Maybe a story, a sign you once noticed, or simply a word of thanks to those standing by their parents today. Each share from you will help this video reach more families, and sometimes one timely share can change how someone cares for their parents. Now, let's begin with the first sign, and listen very carefully, because sometimes your loved one's body is telling you something significant. Sign number 1. The body begins to struggle with natural functions. Have you ever noticed an elderly loved one starting to lose control over their ability to go to the bathroom, or suddenly having trouble swallowing, easily choking on water, even failing to respond when you call their name or touch their hand? This isn't just a sign of aging. Sometimes it signals that the body is entering a fragile stage, possibly the final year of life. Let me tell you about Mr. Lawrence, 84 years old. His daughter shared that, although weak, he could still move around the house and eat normally. But then, within a few months, he began choking on water. He needed to change his clothes more frequently because he couldn't control his urination. He responded very slowly when they called his name, sometimes only blinking. At first, the family thought it was fatigue or the flu, but it was a sign that he was slowly withdrawing from life. He passed away 5 months later. There wasn't much pain. He simply faded away. In older people, when the body enters the final phase of its biological life cycle, one of the clearest changes is the rapid decline of the central nervous and musculoskeletal systems. The nervous system no longer sends strong or accurate signals. The brain and spinal cord control most of the body's automatic functions, from blinking and swallowing to bladder and bowel control. As brain function declines, these signals become slower, weaker, or may even stop altogether. The sensory nerves also weaken, making it harder for the person to respond to light touches, like being called, touched, or turning the light on. However, this doesn't mean they can't hear or feel. It just means their body no longer has the energy to respond. In addition, the autonomic muscles begin to weaken. These are the muscles that work without conscious effort, like the anal sphincter, bladder muscles, and esophagus. These muscles lose tone in people nearing the end of life, making it difficult to hold urine or stool. The body also loses its ability to reposition itself, increasing the risk of bed sores and physical discomfort. If your loved one starts showing these signs, take them to the doctor to rule out acute conditions. If confirmed to be due to full body degeneration, begin to prepare emotionally. Adjust their diet to soft, liquid, easy to swallow foods. Always supervise meals to prevent choking. Use adult diapers properly, ensuring cleanliness and preserving their dignity. Gently massage their hands and feet and call their name often, even if their responses are slow, because sometimes they still hear, still feel, they can't respond. And most importantly, do not ignore these signs. They might be the body telling you that your loved one is nearing their final chapter. Be present. Be gentle. Let them know you're still here and that they are not alone. Sign number 2, unintentional weight loss. Have you ever noticed your elderly loved one starting to lose weight rapidly, even though they're still eating normally? Their clothes suddenly seem looser, their face looks more hollow, or they've lost interest in food altogether? Don't quickly assume it's just mild fatigue or age-related weight loss. Sometimes it's the first sign that the body is entering life's final chapter. Let me tell you about Mrs. Elsie, 82 years old. A year ago, she still cooked, went to the market, and played with her grandchildren. But then the family started to notice that she was eating less. It started with skipping breakfast and then only finishing half her lunch. They made her favorite dishes and brought her bird's nest porridge and flan, but she would just smile and shake her head. No appetite. Her old belt needed extra holes. Every time she stood up, her legs trembled. She lost nearly 8 kilograms in 5 months. They took her to the doctor. No serious illness was found. But the doctor said her body was preparing, in the most natural way, for an upcoming stage. Biologically, why is weight loss such a vital sign? In older adults, a small amount of weight loss can be due to metabolic changes and decreased appetite. But when the weight drops quickly and unintentionally, it often means the body is no longer absorbing nutrients like before. The digestive system slows, digestive enzymes decrease, and the intestines absorb less efficiently. The ability to process protein declines, leading to muscle loss, even with regular meals. The immune and nervous systems weaken, altering taste, causing fatigue or even depression, all of which make older people not want to eat. Additionally, underlying conditions like heart failure, cancer, chronic kidney disease, or dementia can also cause people to eat less and lose weight without realizing it. As a result, the body begins to shut down non-essential functions to conserve energy, prioritizing the heart, lungs, and brain. But that also means the body is drawing inward, preparing for a biological transition that cannot be reversed. So what can you do? If your loved one starts losing weight rapidly, here's what you should do. Take them to the doctor to rule out any treatable acute illnesses. If the doctor confirms no severe conditions, accept that this may signify the body's natural final stage. Please don't force them to eat. Instead, prepare small, soft, easy to digest meals. Prioritize high protein, easily absorbed foods like milk, tofu, soft fish, and eggs. Encourage frequent hydration, especially with warm water or diluted fruit juices. Create a joyful mealtime atmosphere. Avoid blaming or pressuring. And most importantly, be present with your loved one. Not to demand that they eat more, but to let them know, even as their body weakens, they are still cherished and vital. And every meal, no matter how small, is a precious moment to sit together, fully and wholeheartedly, as a quiet act of love and farewell. Sign number 3, the intuition of wanting to go. Have you ever heard an older adult say, "I think my time is coming"? Or, "I just saw Mom. She came to call me." Or start giving detailed instructions to their children and grandchildren. You might be startled or think it's just random talk. But sometimes, it's a very real intuition, a subtle signal from deep within, indicating they're entering their final days. Let me tell you the story of Mrs. Doris, 86 years old. A few months ago, her son shared, "Suddenly, Mom became much quieter. She stopped asking to see doctors. She no longer worried about the house like she used to. She just sat silently, occasionally smiling. One day, she quietly said, 'I saw your father. He was standing at the door, saying nothing, but I knew he was waiting for me.' Then she instructed us on what to do with our lives moving forward. 2 weeks later, Mrs. Doris passed away, very peacefully, without pain. It was as if she had already known." So what was happening? Many people experience a profound emotional and spiritual shift at the end of life. They stop fighting and fearing. Instead, they become more calm, as if they are ready for something greater. This isn't simply depression. It's a conscious letting go. When a person senses the limits of their body and begins turning inward, preparing for their final journey. Many studies in hospice care have observed patients begin talking less about the future and more about the past or loved ones who have passed. They may dream of deceased relatives, not as a pathological hallucination, but as a deep emotional expression. They lose interest in treatments or food and want peace and quiet and to be present with loved ones. This is the stage of acceptance, one of the 5 psychological stages of facing death, according to the Kubler-Ross model. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. When your loved one says things like, "I'm tired, I want to go home, I'm not afraid anymore," listen. Don't rush to reassure them with, "You'll be fine," or "Don't talk like that," because they don't need to be denied at this moment. They need someone to walk with them through the truth. So what can you do? Be present and listen. You don't need many words. Just hold their hand, sit beside them, and nod gently. Allow them to express what they feel about leaving, about things left unsaid, about the loved ones who have gone before. Create a quiet, peaceful space. Avoid bright lights, noise, or arguments. If possible, say goodbye, with love, forgiveness, and gratitude. If they have religious beliefs, invite a spiritual guide or counselor to visit. It can be a great comfort. And most importantly, don't be afraid when they say goodbye. They're not leaving you. They're simply returning to peace. Allow them to go in lightness, without burden, regret, or loneliness. Sign number 4, extreme fatigue and weakness. Have you ever witnessed an elderly loved one suddenly become overwhelmingly exhausted, with barely enough energy to do anything, not even get out of bed? Let me tell you about Mr. Alfred, 87 years old. He used to enjoy watering his garden every morning. One afternoon, I chatted with him about his youth for a long, cheerful afternoon. But then, I went away for half a year, and when I returned, I saw a very different man. He now just lay in bed. He didn't talk much anymore, didn't care about the news, didn't respond to messages from his grandchildren. Even something as simple as getting up to use the bathroom left him breathless for minutes. I feel like I'm slowly shutting down, he told me during a visit. And I understood it wasn't that his mind had given up, it was that his body was too tired to continue. This isn't laziness or lack of willpower. It's a deep biological sign of the end-of-life phase. In old age, fatigue isn't about being tired after a long day of work. It's exhaustion at the cellular level. The body no longer operates as it used to. The heart doesn't pump blood efficiently. The lungs take in less oxygen. Muscles no longer receive enough energy to contract and move for even the simplest tasks. When vital organs like the heart, liver, and kidneys begin to focus only on keeping themselves going, energy for non-essential activities like moving, talking, or eating is cut off. You may notice your loved one sleeping more, day and night, losing interest in old hobbies, too weak to eat, speak, or even sit up, slowly withdrawing from all social interaction. And the heartbreaking part is, they know it's happening. Many of them were once strong and once cared for the entire family. Now, they need help to get out of bed. And that makes them feel ashamed, sad, and profoundly alone. If you are their family, don't try to pull them back. Stroll with them. At this stage, the important thing is not to get them to eat more, force them to go outside and walk, or try to lift their spirits with positive talk. But instead, respect their slower rhythm of life. Let them rest without guilt. Be truly present, even if it's just sitting silently beside them. Accept that every breath they take is precious, and there's no need to do anything more except to feel love. You can help by preparing a comfortable place for them to rest with soft lighting, speaking slowly, gently, and simply, offering peaceful moments like listening to music, looking out at the garden, or holding their hand. And most importantly, don't push them to do anything when their body only has enough energy. In the end, if you're seeing your loved one grow so tired that they can no longer recover, know that this doesn't mean they're giving up. It's simply the body's deep instinct preparing to close a natural life cycle. Be present. Listen, even when they don't speak. Let them know you're there, not to fix anything, but to walk them through the stillness. Sign number 5. Major changes in breathing or circulation. This is the story of Mr. Herbert, 85 years old. He used to be a healthy man, even in his 80s. Every morning, he would wake up early, walk around the yard, water a few vegetable beds, and then sit down to read the newspaper. Everything was slow but steady. Then over time, his daughter noticed a change in his breathing. Not sudden, but little by little. At first, it was when he climbed the stairs. He'd pause halfway to catch his breath. Then, during conversations, his sentences broke off, and he had to take deep breaths to continue. After that, there were moments when he just sat still for long periods, not wanting to go for walks anymore. Just a little tired, he said. But that afternoon, when his daughter touched his hand, she was startled. His hand was colder than usual. A few days later, His feet were cold too. The color of his fingertips started turning pale bluish. As time went on, the pauses between his breaths grew longer, sometimes shallow, sometimes deep. Mr. Herbert didn't complain much, but on tired days, he would say only one thing. Even just breathing now feels exhausting. Nothing dramatic. Everything is slowing down, like an old clock running low on the battery. He passed away 4 months later. There was no pain, but he no longer had the strength to sit and read the newspaper every morning. To outsiders, it may not seem like anything is changing, but to close family, if you pay attention, every breath, every chill in the hands and feet are silent signals, faint but very real. The respiratory and circulatory systems show the most evident signs of transition in the final stages of life. First, changes in breathing. It may slow down, become shallower and irregular, or follow what's known as Cheney-Stokes, rapid, deep breaths followed by a pause. Many mistake this for deep sleep, but it's the brain and brainstem gradually losing their ability to regulate breathing. At the same time, circulation weakens. Hands and feet feel cold, especially the fingers, toes, earlobes, and nose tip. Skin may turn bluish or pale, especially when the heart is no longer pumping enough blood to the extremities. Weak pulse, dropping blood pressure. The body redirects blood flow to the heart, brain, and lungs to prolong life a little longer. Additionally, fluid may build up in the lungs. When the lungs weaken, they no longer expel fluids effectively, leading to a gurgling sound, labored, rattling breaths, sometimes like choking on water. This may not be accompanied by coughing. Each breath sounds heavy, like there's fluid inside. This is a sign the lungs are no longer functioning correctly. If you're a family member, don't panic, but don't ignore these signs either. Understand this: their body is entering its final phase of preservation. Breathing is no longer instinctual. It becomes a limited choice the life force grants. At this stage, you can avoid forcing them to lie flat. Help them sit upright or tilt slightly to make breathing easier. Use a warm cloth to wipe their hands and feet. Keep them gently warm without irritation. Speak slowly, clearly, and softly. Don't ask too many questions. Don't expect responses. Just be there. Hold their hand. You don't have to say anything. Presence matters more than words. You can't change the journey ahead, but you can walk it with them, with kindness and peace. Don't measure time by the clock. Measure it by each held hand, each shared glance. Don't count their breaths. Make each breath lighter and more peaceful. If you are accompanying an elderly loved one showing these signs, don't think you are powerless. You are the one preserving the most beautiful part of their life: the care, the love, and the gift of being there. Sign number 4, extreme fatigue and weakness. Have you noticed your loved one, someone who once looked forward to tending a small garden, reading their favorite books, or chatting with the grandkids, suddenly becoming quiet and less involved? Not because they're busy, and not precisely because they've forgotten. It's simply that they no longer feel interested. Let me tell you about Mrs. Lucille, 87 years old. She used to be full of life. Even in old age, she regularly embroidered handkerchiefs, played chess with friends, and especially loved reading. Her grandchildren called her the heart of the neighborhood. But then, things started to change. She stopped playing chess, left an embroidery piece unfinished. Her conversations became fewer. One time, her granddaughter brought her a new book. the kind she used to love. But she flipped through a few pages and closed it, saying, "I'll read it later." Later, but she never reread it. At first, her daughter thought she was just sleepy or tired. But weeks passed, then months, and that indifference never left. Why do people nearing the end of life lose interest in the things they once loved? In the final stage of life, the body and brain begin to shut down. Like a lamp running out of oil, the light dims to conserve energy. This loss of interest, medically known as anhedonia, is widespread. It's not quite the same as depression. They're not sad. They're not crying. They no longer feel connected to the things that used to bring them joy. It's a deep mental response when someone senses they have little time left. The central nervous system slows down. The brain releases less dopamine, the hormone that creates feelings of enjoyment. The body weakens, making every activity feel like a burden. And the mind also shifts. Many gradually let go of attachments. They're no longer seeking happiness the way they used to. They're preparing for a quiet withdrawal. So what should you do when your loved one loses interest in life? Don't try to force them to cheer up. Don't say, "You have to try and play with the kids." Instead, be present. Sit beside them. Please turn on the old radio station they used to enjoy. Reach out and gently hold their hand, even if they don't squeeze back. This is the time when you don't need to create joy. You need to create a presence. Because sometimes, what a person nearing the end of life needs most isn't another activity, but the reassurance that they are still loved, even when they no longer want to do anything. If you see this sign in someone you care for, be gentle. Don't push. Just be present, so they know you're still here, and you cherish every moment beside them, even without words or gestures. Simply being together. Sign number 7, frequent infections and slow wound healing. Let me tell you the story of Mr. Glenn, 89 years old. He was a healthy man. Even though he had been retired for a long time, he still enjoyed doing his own housework, shopping at the nearby market, and playing chess with his friends. But over the past year, Dad kept getting pneumonia again and again. He'd recover at home, then get hospitalized, then relapse. At first, the family thought it was just the weather. But then he started getting urinary tract infections and skin infections from a small scratch caused by his fingernail. The doctor said his body is getting weaker. His immune system no longer has the strength to fight. Why is repeated infection a sign of the final stage of life? As we age, the decline of the immune system is inevitable. The body produces fewer white blood cells and reacts more slowly to bacteria and viruses. Things that used to take only a few days to recover from now take weeks or don't fully heal. Especially in older adults, the signs of infection are often not typical. They don't get high fevers or show obvious pain. Instead, you might notice sudden confusion, loss of appetite, excessive sleepiness, and withdrawal from social interaction. Additionally, poor blood circulation prevents immune cells from reaching wounds in time, causing even minor injuries to heal slowly and become easily infected. In many cases, antibiotics lose effectiveness. The liver and kidneys are no longer efficient at processing medication. The body loses its ability to fight. So what should you do if your loved one gets mild illnesses that won't disappear? Listen to their body, not just the symptoms. If your loved one is constantly tired, weak, eating less, and no longer interested in life, treat it as a serious sign. Consult a palliative care doctor. Don't just ask, is there a stronger medication? Ask, how can we help dad, mom feel more comfortable and at ease right now? Shift from the goal of curing to the goal of caring. This is not the time to focus on extending life at any cost, but to ensure that each remaining day is gentle, peaceful, and dignified. Focus on presence. A hug, a whispered word, a quiet afternoon listening to music together can be more healing than any prescription. And finally, if you notice your loved one is slowly weakening for no apparent reason and keeps getting minor illnesses that linger, don't wait. Be with them more. Care for them, not with the hope of a miracle, but with all the love and peace they deserve at the end of life. Unexplained weight loss, extreme fatigue, loss of interest in life, changes in breathing, prolonged infections, emotional withdrawal, and signs of losing control over natural functions. These are not isolated symptoms. They are quiet but clear signals that the body is entering its final chapter, a chapter many people are afraid to face. But the more we avoid it, the easier it is to miss the chance to be fully present with our loved ones. I know it's not easy to face these changes. We love our loved ones so much. We want them to stay with us forever. So when we see them eating less, lying down more, breathing weaker, our first reaction is often to encourage, motivate, and push them to keep trying. But what your loved one needs most is not to try one more time, but your gentle presence. A hand holding their hand. A gaze that is not rushed. A tender acceptance that if this is the moment they are ready to stop, they will not be alone. You cannot stop what is natural, but you can make the final days peaceful, warm, and deeply meaningful. Understanding these 7 signs is not to fear death. It is to prepare with wisdom, love, and clarity. Because the more you understand, the less you panic. The calmer you are, the better you can care. And the more present you are, the more you can preserve moments that will never come again. Before we end, I want to ask you, which of these 7 signs made you reflect the most? What would you do differently if you knew there wasn't much time left? Please leave a comment below. I, and many others, will be reading it. Because sometimes, your sharing can help someone else understand what they have never dared to think about. If you found this video helpful, please hit like, share, and subscribe to the channel to continue joining us in future videos. Videos that not only provide information, but also help you live with understanding, compassion, and peace. Thank you for staying until the end. I wish you, and the ones you love, a life filled with love,